I get it. Like, shooting at your friend is probably not the most responsible thing. Given that I've been on YouTube for longer than YouTube's existed, I was genuinely making YouTube videos prior to the creation of YouTube, back when you used to have to like download the individual files and disappoint people one at a time. But now I've got so much under my belt, you would think like, oh, where are the highlights, right? You would think that like driving the Koenigsegg's or getting to play with all these exotics would be the key. Most of the things that I look back on and say like, that was really fun, involve the cheapest cars ever. Because if you're a car guy, you have some form of like, even no matter how crappy, even if it's a Corvette or a Mustang, you still have like this genuine like, I don't really want to damage it because like somebody can get value out of it. But when we started buying the $500 cars, all of that changed, because a $500 car is like, all right, $500 is like it's like a set of crappy tires. I mean, you are getting your value, so you don't care if the thing is on your roof, on its roof. You're just laughing. You're like, that was a lot of fun. Let's roll it over and see if we can get it to start again. The first $500 car challenge we did was myself, Matt, and Vinny, and we tried to drive down to Atlantic City. And I remember going to these wholesalers and be like, hey, what do you got for like $500? And the wholesalers, I mean, you walk past these lots, you're like we do financing $20 a week or something like that. So you're expecting the of this. Like, this is the bottom of the barrel. If cars are crap, this is where you go buy them. And they're like laughing at us over $500. I'm like, what is so funny? And ultimately we all got cars. Matt got this Volvo, which we turned into a Volvo Mino, which we cut the roof off and everything like that. Really, really cool car. Ultimately, I ended up losing that when my condo towed it, and then the tow yard just like scrapped it. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, it had a lot of sentimental value to me. But it was just like a tremendously fun car. It's one of my more popular YouTube videos was when we were buying those cars. I bought a Mighty Max pickup truck, and then Vinny got a car in Staten Island, of all places, where the guy insisted like, oh, this is good, you're going to restore it. And this is like it was a 78 Grand Prix, some absolute piece of that nobody would ever spend the money to restore. But he's like, yeah, with like $25,000, you can get this thing right back up and running, no problem. And it's like, even if you spent $25,000 in this thing, and if it was in mint condition shape, it would be worth $3,500. So who would ever do that? Sure enough, we start this drive, and Matt's car did all right. It was actually fairly bulletproof. My Mighty Max, not so bulletproof. And Vinny's car, which didn't come with a key, you had to start it with a screwdriver, was something, and we had to choke it to turn it off. He blew the engine in like 30 miles. So we learned a very important lesson that day, which is to not buy cars from Staten Island, because the guy's probably not going to be too honest with you. That car was cool because we just literally took the pliers, ripped the license plate off the car, and left it on the side of the highway, thinking that that's a good idea. And we drove down to Atlantic City. It was just like valeting those cars. We had just such a good time smashing into each other on the highway. Matt, I got a legally blind driver keep back 200 feet sticker for the thing. So he painted this stick, and he had it like a blind stick. And we busted out all the windows. We put like the Tommy Boy style like gates on the side. I'll never forget when I was editing that, and he was like tapping the stick, and the gate swung open and was like flinging out the side of the car. And I was in tears at like 2 a.m, literally crying. I woke my wife up. She came and was like, what is going on? And she just didn't get it. And I was just like literally in tears. And that's when I knew, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good video, because this was a lot of fun. But we had a great time. We were throwing flour at each other. Like they filled with caulking all of the holes on my truck, popped out the window, and then filled the bed of the pickup truck with water. So when I hit the brakes, all the water came gushing into the cab of the truck. I was soaked all day. It was pretty miserable. Now that I think of it, it was actually very miserable. But Matt ended up getting pulled over in the Volvo Mino before we cut the roof off down in Atlantic City. And it was just definitely a traffic stop to remember. Going to the valet and having the valet like close the gate and like lock it for him. It was just a great time. We've taken that to multiple levels as time went on. We bought a bulletproof car in Compton, of all places. And there was a serial entrepreneur who was selling his bulletproof Mercedes, because a Mercedes, an older one especially, the transmission rebuild is not cheap. He had a slipping transmission. We just liked the fact that it was probably the cheapest bulletproof car we could buy. And whereas California sort of sucks for guns or thinking about guns, even talking about guns, I don't even think this video is going to get flagged in California because we're mentioning California and gun in the same sentence. But if you just cross the border into Arizona, boom. And we drove over to Scottsdale, which sounds close, but it's not really. It took like 7 hours. We left in the morning. We got to Scottsdale and we had a flight booked back at like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. So we were going out filming. We had a trailer follow us back because we were going to shoot up the car and then send the car back to California, where we were going to drive around Beverly Hills with the bullet holes in it. And that seemed like a real fun idea. Then we were going to give the car to a school and allow the kids to take the engine apart and everything like that. We had this whole life cycle plotted out in our head. So Matt and I get there and I'm like, yo, do you want, like, it's a bulletproof car. It was not like a car that the dude just said was bulletproof or anything. It was I don't remember the level of armoring, but it was definitely small arms fire capable. And how do you really know when you buy a bulletproof car that it's bulletproof? I mean, if you shoot it, you're gonna have to like replace the panel and then assume that the next panel is bulletproof. So you sort of got to take a guy's word on it. I don't generally stage videos, but this is one of those videos that I get it. Like, shooting at your friend is probably not the most responsible thing. In my head, I was like, look, if you sit in the car, I've got decent enough aim that if we had some guys with us with a bunch of guns, and one of them had, or two of them had bulletproof vests. I'm like, look, if we put the bulletproof vest next to you, next to your leg, and I put the rounds by your leg, like, even if it makes it through the car, it's not going to make it through 2 layers of bulletproof vest. You should be okay. Logic kicked in. I'm like, all right, maybe we'll just stage it. And to this day, I mean, there's a lot of plausible deniability. Most people saw that and said, like, yeah, absolutely. Like, that he shot at his buddy. That's wild. There's only one guy that was able to figure it out, and it was wild because he like took opposing frames, like one earlier in the video, one after the sequence, and like brought them together and just kept toggling back and forth. And you can see the weight of Matt changes the car by like just a hair. And he was like, haha, look, you can see that nobody was in the car because the car is sitting up slightly higher when he's shooting at it in this frame. And people are like, well, that's clearly just because people want to believe things are real. That's just the way of the world. But I think this may be the reveal where I tell people like, yeah, I didn't shoot at my friend, but it was no obvious penetration. So I think Matt would have been just fine even if he sat there and didn't have the vest there. But we ended up shooting up the rest of the car. It did not stop AR-15 rounds, 223 or 5.56 rounds went right through it. When I say right through, in one door, out the other side. It was a lot of fun. We were expecting to like shoot holes in the center section of the car and then in turn drive it around Beverly Hills, but we didn't want to drive it with all the bullet holes through the states. We just thought it would have been cool. However, one of the rounds penetrated something in the back, and the gas tank even is like a self-healing gas tank. So we kept shooting the gas tank, trying to make it like blow up because that seemed like a good idea. But the carpet in the back caught fire in the trunk. And by the time we were able to get one of the little kitty fire extinguishers, we didn't plan for fire. The fire was raging a little bit too much to put out with the kitty, and we just had to let the inevitable happen. And that car burnt down and became a permanent fixture of Arizona, I don't know, shooting range. It wasn't really a shooting range. It was like public land where like there was just a mound of dirt and bullet casings all over because that's where people just go to shoot. So I'm sure that took a lot more rounds after that day. But it was one of those things where like, we don't want to like start a public nuisance. We're like, we don't want to start a forest fire. There was no forest, but like we didn't want the desert to catch on fire effectively. So we did call the cops, and before we knew it, I mean, there was a chopper above us hovering and everything like that. We're like, all right, let's get out of here. Time to go.
Are you looking to buy your dream car? Premier Financial Services offers the flexibility of financing with the tax benefits of leasing. The PFS Simple Lease offers quick approvals and easy termination when you are ready for the next car. Visit our website and follow us for more.